My parents never called me wrong. They just praised the right kind of life until my difference felt like a stain. My brother Evan, 33, was the family trophy. Athletic, outgoing, selling software with a grin. My sister Marin, 31, was married with 2 kids and a Bellevue routine my mother worshipped. I was Sloane, 29, a woman who loved women, testing games at a studio and renting a small apartment on Capitol Hill. "We love Sloane," my mom, Renee, would say. "We just want her to settle down." The missing word was always there. Renee's money came from rentals she'd bought early, before Seattle got impossible. By 2018, she owned 9 modest properties. Evan and Marin spoke about splitting them someday, as if it were already signed. In February, Renee called with a voice scraped thin. Early-stage breast cancer. Treatable, the doctors promised. "Still cancer," she whispered. After her first chemo, she asked, "Can you come by Wednesdays? Tuesdays knock me out. I don't want to be alone." Evan was busy. Marin had the kids, so I went. I sat beside my mother while rain slid down the glass and the radiator clicked. Outside, sirens faded toward downtown, and her tea smelled of chamomile. She talked more than she ever had. About fear, about mistakes, about the weight of keeping everything afloat. In July, she pushed a manila folder across the coffee table. Her fingers trembled. "Quietly," she said, "Evan's managing the rentals. He says he's improving things, but the income looks wrong. You find bugs, right? Look at these numbers and tell me if something's broken." The folder thudded against the wood. I took it and nodded, because she was finally asking me to matter. That night, I spread the folder across my kitchen table. Rent rolls, repairs, my mother's neat notes. I slipped into work mode, test the claim. I asked Evan for access to the management accounts so I could understand your system. He sent logins without hesitation. The portal showed his LLC, a 15% fee, and invoices. Roof, foundation, siding. I checked permits. Nothing filed for the major jobs. I called contractors. 2 numbers were dead. 1 belonged to Evan's friend who admitted he'd hired a cheap crew. Then tenants. I texted under the excuse of updating contact info. They told me their rent amounts, higher than what Evan reported to Renee. 2 units were marked vacant for renovation, generating 0 income for months. I drove by and saw lights behind the blinds. The tenant opened the door and said, "Vacant? We've been here. We pay Evan." By late August, I had a clean spreadsheet and a filthy number. About $380,000, siphoned over 3 years. On Wednesday, I covered Renee's coffee table with printouts, bank transfers, tenant statements, a timeline. My throat tightened. "Evan's been stealing from you," I said. Renee stared at the pages. "Your father will defend him," she whispered. "Marin will too." She stood, slow but certain. "Then we move first. I'm deeding all 9 properties to you." "Mom, that will destroy the family." "The family chose its own destruction," she said, squeezing my hand. "You showed up. You told me the truth. I trust you." A week later, in an attorney's office, she signed 9 quitclaim deeds. "Don't tell them yet," she murmured as we stepped into the rain. "Let's see who keeps pretending." Renee lasted 5 more years. We kept Wednesdays until she couldn't hold a mug. When the cancer returned, I read to her in the dim bedroom. "Don't let them shrink you," she whispered. She died before dawn. At the funeral, Evan cried loudest. Marin posed beside the flowers. 2 days later, Evan texted, "Thanksgiving, Dad's, estate meeting." The dining room smelled like cinnamon. No chair waited for me or my girlfriend Tessa, so we stayed near the doorway. Evan didn't bother with grief. 9 rentals, he said. "We sell and split, Marin and I. Sloane checked out years ago." My father, Gordon, nodded as if the vote was over. I smiled anyway. "Okay." I laced my fingers with Tessa's and walked out. Their shock followed us to the driveway. In the car, I called Mina Park, the attorney who'd filed Renee's deeds. Evan had tried to list the properties. Mina exhaled. "Cease and desist? Today, and start the forensic report." Fallout hit. Evan threatened my property manager, then drove to a Tacoma duplex and tried his old key. A tenant called police. When he emailed forged authority papers to an agent, the agent forwarded them to investigators. That night, Gordon called. Hoarse. I sent him the recorded deeds, the invoices, the tenant statements. She chose the kid who showed up, I said. Not the ones who performed. Evan pleaded guilty. I donated in Renee's name to a housing nonprofit for rejected kids. On a cold evening, Tessa and I walked Lake Union's edge, and for once the city felt like it belonged to me.